strength and weakness paradox, how brokenness makes us unbreakable. You've heard Nietzsche saying, "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger," right? Get ready, new friend, because we're diving deep into the delicious, dizzying paradox that weakness can be the secret ingredient to strength. Philosophy, spirituality, and psychology all nod their heads in agreement. Sometimes the way up is down, the way forward is backward, and the surest path to power is, wait for it, surrender. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Let's unpack this mind-bending truth that, with a little help from our friends, this includes the wise old Greeks, the good book, and some clever modern researchers. In this video, I'll prove to you that showing your soft underbelly might just be the bravest thing that you'll ever do. Warning! This video contains traces of pretentious vocabulary, meandering metaphors, and intentional alliteration. Moreover, the voiceovers are high on mispronunciations plus low on elocution and articulation. You're welcome. Part 1, Philosophy's Twist, the wisdom of knowing you know nothing.
Thanks, mate. I'll be happy to narrate this section. Picture Socrates, the ancient Athenian murder hornet, buzzing around town, pestering people with questions. One of his big claims to fame? To paraphrase Socrates, "I know that I know nothing." At first glance that sounds like a humble brag, but dig deeper and it's pure genius. You see, Socrates figured out that true wisdom starts with admitting ignorance. The folks who strutted around acting like know-it-alls, they were the real fools. Meanwhile, Socrates, the guy who openly confessed his cluelessness, became history's poster child for smarts. Fast forward to the Stoics, those tough-minded thinkers who turned hardship into a gym for the soul. Stoic Epictetus, a former slave, taught that real strength isn't controlling the world. Real strength is mastering your reactions to it. In other words, the weaker life makes you feel, the stronger you can become if you let it. In Taoism, the concept of Wu Wei, which means effortless action, celebrates surrendering control and aligning with the natural flow. Why don't you now think of a bamboo stalk in a hurricane? It bends, it sways, it looks like it's about to snap, but when the storm passes, it's still standing while the rigid oak tree lies in splinters.
Part 2, Spirituality's Shockers, the last shall be first. If philosophy whispers the weakness is strength paradox, spirituality shouts it from the mountaintops. Weakness is strength! The paradox says that when people acknowledge their own weaknesses, they become open to relying on a higher power, such as God. Take Jesus' famous Sermon on the Mount speech. "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." Wait, meek? As in pushovers? No, my friend. The meek person is humble, recognizing their dependence on God and showing deference and respect for others. They don't insist on their own way, demand recognition, or retaliate when wronged. The meek trust that God will ultimately right wrongs and bring justice. This allows them to forego personal vengeance or a constant need to prove themselves. The Apostle Paul wrote, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Say what? Say what? He meant that when he stopped relying on his own grit and leaned into divine grace, he tapped into a power no muscle could match.
Now, the Greek word praus was used to describe someone as gentle, meek and mild, but with a connotation of strength under control rather than weakness. Over in the East, Lao Tzu celebrated water as the ultimate weak yet strong force. Water is soft, it yields, it takes the low ground, yet it carves canyons and brings down cliffs. Ever seen a martial artist use an opponent's force against them? That's the spiritual version of your weakness is your weapon. In Buddhism, the concept of emptiness, shunyata, can be seen as a form of vulnerability. By letting go of ego and attachment, one can find freedom from the burdens of self-importance. The Tibetan Buddhist master Pema Chodron writes about the importance of embracing vulnerability as a path to spiritual growth. She encourages us to be like the lotus flower, which grows in the muddiest waters, yet it remains unsoiled. The lotus flower's beauty lies in its ability to thrive in vulnerability.
Part 3. Psychology's Proof. The Magic of Messing Up.
In our polished, Instagram-filtered world, we're constantly encouraged to present our best selves, airbrushed, articulate, always in control. We hide our doubts, mask our fears, and fiercely guard our insecurities, believing that revealing them will make us seem fragile or unworthy. Yet what does genuine connection crave? Yes, you are correct, it craves authenticity. And what is authenticity without vulnerability? Researcher Brené Brown, the leading voice in vulnerability studies, has spent years interviewing folks about connection. Guess what she found? The people who felt the most loved were the ones brave enough to say, "I'm struggling." So spilling your guts about your failures, fears and flops doesn't push people away, as it actually pulls them closer and fosters immense trust. This is because perfection is exhausting and authenticity is irresistible. Then there's the post-traumatic growth phenomenon, where people don't just survive hardship, they actually thrive because of it. Carl Rogers, one of the founding fathers of humanistic psychology, believed that being your authentic self, warts and all, was the path to healing. In his therapeutic approach, real change came not from fixing flaws, but from fully accepting them. He found that folks who faced their brokenness head-on often emerge with deeper compassion, sharper purpose and unshakable resilience. Think of a broken bone. It heals back stronger at the fracture line. The same goes for hearts and minds. In human relationships, the meek are often the ones who build the most enduring and fulfilling connections. They cultivate peace, are approachable, earn trust, create space for others, and experience genuine belonging. Recovery programs, for instance, strive for this. They begin with the crucial first step of admitting powerlessness over an addiction. This initial confession of profound weakness is not a defeat. It's the bedrock upon which genuine recovery and sustained strength are built, fostering a community of shared struggles and mutual support.
Part 4. Real-life rebels who won by losing. Let's roll the highlight reel of 3 of history's underdogs who turned weakness into winning. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison only to walk out and dismantle apartheid without revenge. What was his secret? As Confucius once said, "The greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." Author J.K. Rowling was a broke, depressed single mom when she scribbled Harry Potter into existence. Her rock bottom became her foundation. Steve Jobs got fired from Apple, a company that he founded, only to return later and lead it to historic success. He said of his failure, "The heaviness of being successful replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything, it freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life." Many times, the meek are those who rise from the ashes. Part 5. The Science of Surrender. Why letting go makes you stronger.
Modern neuroscience has uncovered something fascinating about the brain and resilience. Studies show that when we acknowledge our limitations, our brains actually rewire themselves to handle stress better. It's called neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to adapt and grow from challenges. Psychologist Dr. Carol Dweck's research on the growth mindset proves that people who see failure as a learning opportunity achieve more in the long run. In other words, your brain gets stronger every time you say, "I don't know, but I'm willing to learn."
Part 6. The Art of Asking for Help. Why it's not a sign of weakness. Society loves to glorify the lone wolf, the self-made success story. But here's the truth. No one does it alone. Even the most independent people rely on mentors, friends, family, and others. Asking for help isn't weakness. It is, in fact, wisdom. Asking for help is recognizing that strength is a collective effort. Think of it like a bridge. The more support beams, the heavier the load it can carry. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb by himself, as he had a team of engineers working on it. Yet history remembers him as a genius. This is because he knew how to leverage the strengths of others. Part 7. The power of I don't know. How uncertainty fuels growth.
We live in a world that worships certainty. Politicians pretend they have all the answers. CEOs act like they never doubt, but the reality, the most successful people are comfortable saying, I don't know. This is because uncertainty opens the door to curiosity, and curiosity leads to innovation. The minute you admit you don't have all the answers is the minute you start finding better ones. Think of a GPS. If it refused to recalculate when you took a wrong turn, you'd be lost forever. The same goes for life, where flexibility opens new doors.
Part 8. The beauty of brokenness. Why your flaws make you more memorable. Perfection is forgettable, but quirks? Oh, those stick. Think about your favorite people. Chances are you love them because of their imperfections, not in spite of them. Their weird laugh, their awkward honesty, their hilarious failures are the things that make them human. Dolly Parton once said, "Find out who you are and do it on purpose." She didn't try to fit a mold. She embraced her uniqueness and became a legend. Part 9. How to harness your weakness as a superpower.
So how do you put this paradox into practice? Here's the cheat sheet. Start small, as you don't have to share your deepest traumas right away. Begin by sharing smaller, less intimidating feelings or experience with trusted individuals. Choose wisely, as not everyone deserves your full vulnerability. Start with people who have earned your trust and who demonstrate empathy and respect. Admit you're a hot mess some of the time and drop the act. People trust real, not flawless. Lean into the lessons of loss, as every setback is a setup for a comeback if you're paying attention.
Part 10. Weakness is just strength wearing a brilliant disguise. Is that you, baby? The strength in weakness paradox isn't some stuffy self-help slogan. It's a law of the universe, as real as gravity. Mighty trees grow from tiny sprouts. The brightest stars are born in collapsing nebulae. And the strongest people? They're the ones who hug their own fragility and whisper, "Okay, I got you." So the next time life knocks you flat, don't panic. Just remember that you're not falling apart. Instead, you're falling into place. And that, my friend, is how the meek inherit the earth.